Okay. All right. So I had to do our notes this way so that you would have it. And this is not going to be a whole lot, but this is an activity that I need you to work on. And then our sub is going to go over the rest of it with you. So this should only take about 15 minutes. So in your math journal, turn to the next clean page, put today's date, and then we're going to be reviewing on comparing, and then backslash, that's underneath, backslash, ordering decimals. And then make sure that you put your page number and put this in the table of contents, whatever page number you're on. And mine is scattered through, I mean, it's different with block 1, 2, and 3. So I'm just going to put a question mark and we'll leave it as that. So today's learning target. And I have it on the board, but I don't remember exactly how I had it written. So I'm just going to type out, I can, or I will, let me erase that. I will, I'm going to put I will. I will, no, you won't be able to. I will compare and order decimals. Oops, sorry about that. Pause it at any time because you're in control of this. I'm just typing, it makes it a lot faster. We want to compare and order decimals. We're going to put in 2 decimals. I will compare and order 2 decimals to the thousandths. Oops. THS. And represent using the symbols greater than, less than, and equal to, period. Okay. So again, pause this at any time because I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to change. Just a little bit. You'll need to make a T-chart. I'm just going to make this slightly bigger. Backspace this. Okay, so this is a review, and I want you to write down, you'll need to know these, greater than, not greater, but greater than, and then knowing that the symbol is faced, the opening is faced to the left. The next word is going to be less than. Let me stretch this down a bit. Just a slightly. And then it's less than. Reduce the print on that one just a bit. Makes it a little bit more challenging, but I hope that you get the gist of it because you'll need it for tonight. And most of there's 10 questions on the next unit. So most of the questions are about the decimals and comparing, and as well as rounding. So you have that on at practice for tonight's homework as well. So that is less than, and the next one is going to be equal. And there's your equal. That means that they're both the same. I'm just going to kind of move this up just a tad. And I'll just reduce those to 4. Put them on the same page. Move this up. And it should be good. All right, so that's what you have so far. Again, pause it when you're ready to go. I'm going to move the rest of the notes over here. I'm going to actually insert this page here and continue with the vocabulary. The next one I want to make sure that you remember, and this is what we're going through, is remember that definition of decimal? And what was the definition of decimal? Do you remember back in your notes? What did we say that was? Okay, go ahead and pause this and go back into your notes and check. Okay, so that definition is going to be where we have both whole numbers and a fractional part. So an example of that is if I have, this is a whole number of 2, and there's my decimal point. That's that and that separates the whole numbers and the fractional part. And if I have 25 hundredths, so that becomes a decimal number. It's a decimal whole number. I should put a whole number or whole numbers and a fractional part. So that gives an example. All right, now we're going to be talking about tenths, and then refreshing your memory because a lot of you are still getting confused with the place value portion of it. And remember that the tenths, yes, I needed to put the tenths. So it is the first digit to the right of the decimal. And we also know that it is 1 out of 10 equal parts of a whole. And the way we write it is going to be, we don't have any whole numbers, decimal point 1. We said it's going to be 1 out of, there's that fraction bar, and I'm writing it this way because I'm on the computer and it makes it hard, and I don't want to spend my time trying to look for the one that goes horizontal, so I'm just going to use a slant. So that's 1 out of 10. So it's 1 out of 10 or 1/10. Okay. The next one is going to be hundredths. And I'm going over this because of the quiz that we had. I want to make sure that you're understanding it because this is super important as we move into fractions. So this is going to be the second digit to the right of the decimal, which is going to be, what would we say? Yes, exactly. It's going to be 1 out of 100 equal parts of a whole. And then again, the way we write this one, we don't have any whole numbers. The decimal point, because it separates the whole numbers from the decimals or the fractional part. I'm going to put a 0 as my hero for the tenths because nothing's there. and the 1 in the hundredths place value. Or we write it as fraction, and that's 1 that backslash 100. And I'm just going to, because I'm thinking about this right now, I'll go ahead and highlight this portion. And some of you taking the quiz, we're still confused. And so I just want to make sure that you're understanding the difference. Super important. That's going to be the tenths. And we'll switch this over for the hundredths. And I'll highlight that one. I'll do a lighter blue so that you can see that. And then for the thousandths, let's switch it back over, take that off. And then thousands, THOU, like you were saying, thousand, but you need the THS. And this is the third digit. Oh, it's not true, but to the right of the decimal. And this is going to be 1 out of 1,000 equal parts of a whole. Okay. And I'll go ahead and highlight the tenths and underline that part. I'm going to just go ahead and bold that so that you can see it. And I'll highlight that one in the yellow. And then we'll do the same thing with the 100 so you can see the connection there. Put that in bold, underline, and that way you see that. And now with the thousandths, I'm just going to do the light red because that's what we have in class. Oops, don't want that. Change that up. Use the highlight. Hold that and underline. And then when we write those out, it's going to be, there's no whole numbers. The decimal that separates the whole number from the fractional part. 0 for the tenths, 0 for the hundredths, and then I'm representing it because I'm going to only represent 1 out of the 1,000 parts. Or the fraction would be 1 backslash for out of 1,000. Okay, and so that's the way we would write that. So you, even when you were given which one does not fit, you guys need to pay attention to how it's written as a decimal, as well as how it is written as a fraction. Got to be super careful with that. Oops, I want to turn that one to red. There we go. All right, so now you can see, differentiate those colors like that. All right. Remember that you just take your time. Don't take too much time because I'm only giving you so many minutes to get this done. But you'll also have it here as well. All right, so now that we've already covered that, the next thing I want to do is your teacher, your substitute teacher is going to give you a sheet of paper that has the grids on here. Okay, so I want you to cut out the first one and you're going to glue this into your journal like that. And this is going to represent one whole or 1.0. So what would I do then to represent one whole? This is 1/10, right? Now, where did it go? I know where it's going. I need to bring these forward. This is the way I need to do it. It worked before, and I think when I moved them, into effect. Then I messed up the order. Okay, so let's figure this out. Okay, I got it fixed. So now if I'm going to represent this grid as being one whole, I'm going to, how many of these would I need? So this is 1 out of 10 parts, right? This is going to be 2 out of 10 parts. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and change the color just so that you can see it. I'll go ahead and make it green. This is 3. Let me move it up just a bit. Out of 10 parts. So I'm going to change that over to this blue part. Then I'm going to move another one over because I'm not quite, haven't covered it yet, right? So on your sheet, after you've gotten glued, I want you to get your crayons or your colored pencils and color each column either vertical or horizontal, because I can easily just switch this around and color it this way, but I'm just going vertical because it makes it easier. And I wanted you to color them different colors just so that you can see the difference on that, right? I want you to be able to physically count those up. On this one right here, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and this makes it 5. So now I'm halfway through. So guys, this is your 5/10 because you're halfway. And now I'm at 6/10. I'm going to change this one here. And now I'm at 7/10. I need to stretch these up just a bit because I messed my grid up. Okay, because you can see we're at 7 because I have 3 left over. How many more do I need to go? Yeah, I've got 3 more tenths to put in there to make it a whole. Because it all has to be covered to represent one whole. And that's 8. That's this 9/10. And now I have 10/10 because there's 10 out of 10 of those. Oops, I just fix that up. Okay, so now I have 10 different colors representing one whole. Okay, because my pages are only half a sheet, you're going to continue right below. And so you're going to place the next one, and I will just make this one a little bit smaller. Actually, I'm gonna actually move this over here. You have more space. So I just moved the represent one whole above that. Then I'm going to move this over here. So if you want to do the same, you can, but if you did it the other way, that's fine too. All right, now I'm going to represent, we said it was going to be 1/10 or 1/10 or 1 out of 10 parts. So those all mean the same thing. You have it in the written form, you have it as a decimal, and you have it as a fraction. All I'm going to do is, how many would I need to move over here to represent 1/10? Yeah, absolutely. I just need 1 to represent that, and that's it. So that represents 1/10. What would I need then? I'm going to bring the other one over, and you should have room on your paper. If not, you will move to the next page As a matter of fact, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and move to the next page. And I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to shrink it just a bit. Make a copy of this and then paste it. You're going to have 4. This one right here is now going to represent, what do you think this will represent? Yeah, very good. 100ths or no whole numbers, decimal point, nothing in the tenths, but 1 in the hundredths, or the fraction 1 out of 100. I'm going to stretch this out a bit. And so what do you think I will need over here? Very good. It's only going to be 1 out of 100. And that's it. Because there's 100 little squares. Remember, we were talking about our flats, our rods, the units, and the chips. Okay. So then over here, on this last one, what do you think we're going to have? Absolutely. It's 1/1000ths or decimal point for the whole number, no whole numbers. 0 and then decimal point, 0 for the tenths, 0 for the hundredths, and I'm putting in a 1 to represent the thousands place value, or 1 out of 1,000. This one right here is going to be really tricky to do. So you're only going to do a small little chip of the hundreds, right? So I'm going to move that one over here, but I'm going to squish this up, and you'll have to, I'm trying to, no, I don't want to move that. There we go, finally got this. All right, so now I'm just going to squish this up a little bit more. And just a little bit more. It's so tiny. Okay, okay. Try it one more time. Let's see if I can get this. Please let me get that. Way too much, too stretchy. I just need to shrink it out. And I'm going to move this right here. And there you go. So you got the idea, right? I don't know why the color changed. So this is going to represent 1/1000ths, because 10 little of these will go into each one. And let me change the color on that. Let me do hot pink. That'll be good. Supposed to go to hot pink. Oh, hot pink. There we go. And there's the hot pink part. Such a small that it's really hard to differentiate that part. So you can see it in the written form, you can see it as a decimal, and you can see it as a fraction. All right. Any questions on that so far? This needs to go into your journal so that you have it. Now, the next one, I'm going to go ahead and create a duplicate slide. And I'm going to go ahead and remove this 1/1000th part. Don't write anything out yet, because you're going to get, so here you had 4 grids, right? So in your journal, I want you to draw this out. If you had move this over here, move this over, you're going to tell me what number am I creating, so that you'll do it as expanded notation and then in standard form. Or the new word that they're using is numerical, which means number. That's in the standard form. So you need to know all its terminology. Okay. And I'm going to push this back. Okay, so that's 1/10. And 2/10. 3/10. And if you want to, you can change those colors up because it's hard to see. And I'm going to go through and color them out. Or change the colors, I should say. All right. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 because I'm halfway there, right? So I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 remaining that are not colored. And so this makes it 6. All right. So if you have this here, how would you write that in expanded notation? Remember that word, expanded notation? So on the quiz, a lot of you were getting that one confused. I'm going to write it out, expanded notation. And this is where you're writing the parentheses with the number and then the representation of its place value. So here I'm going to put, now you said this one here, we had 6 of them, right? And I did say I was going to change the color just so that you can see it. Put that in green. Switch this one over to this teal. Switch this one over to this bluish gray. I kind of like that color, right? And then this vibrant blue. And let's change this to purple. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. All right, so now how many different colors do you have, or how many tints do you have here? Yes, absolutely. So here you're going to have 6. Don't know what I did there. Oh, I see. My cursor was in the way, so it made it look like it was a little funky. 6 times, and then the tenths, looking back on your notes, we represent that with, there's 0 whole numbers, decimal point, times 1. And I'm going to be stretching this out. So that's that one there, right? So I'm going to close my parentheses up. Then I'm going to add a plus sign. So I'm going to come over here. Now you would obviously put these close together, but I'm doing this just for representation, right? This one right here represents what? How many hundredths do you have? Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and add a couple more. What if we do that? Oops, I do not want you there. Let's just oh, I don't want that one. So this makes it. I want you to add 3 more. So when you're waiting for me, add in 3 more of the hundreds. I just want to move them. Why doesn't it want to move, guys? This is funny. Not funny how it's funny frustration. So that's and that y'all are a lot quicker and faster at that. So it's 1, 2, 3. I said to add 3 more. So now how many hundreds do you see here? Yeah, there's 4 hundreds, right? Oops, don't want to do that. Don't want to stretch them out there. Just trying to move them over. Don't want to do that either. Okay, there we go. We have 4 of the hundreds. I'm going to go ahead and just change those colors so that you can just see with the purple. Change that one to purple. I'm going to change this one to the pink. And I will switch this color over to this brown. Okay, so now you see 4 different colors coming back down here. So I have 4, and they each represent 4 out of 100, but I'm going to write it as a decimal. So it's 0 for 0 whole numbers, decimal point. We've already done the 10th, so I'm going to put a 0 there, and then it's the 1 to represent the hundreds. And then over here, I'm just going to leave that thousands the way it is. I'm going to add that, put in my parentheses, and I only have 1 out of 0 whole numbers, decimal point, 0 for the tenths, 0 for the hundredths, and 1 to represent the thousands. So that would be our equation as a decimal. If I had these 2 different numbers, now, first of all, how would I write this? This is an expanded notation. And how would I write this as a numerical, as a number or numeral? I can't even say that. It's getting late. So I'm going to write the expanded notation as a numeral, because you're going to be seeing that. And I don't want you to say, oh my gosh, what's a numeral? I want you to know that we've gone through it, because that is the language that they're now using quite a bit. So here I have 6/10, right? So I have 0 whole numbers, putting in my decimal point. 6 times the 1 is 6 in the 10th. So I have 6/10. I have 4 hundredths, and I have 1,000. So written as a numeral will be 641 thousandths. You're going to see that on your unit test. Not this one, but something very similar with expanded notation. It could be an expanded form. And then what is it? Writing it as a numeral. Okay, any questions so far? Are we good? Thumbs up. If you have a question, raise your hand. The sub's going to have a copy of these notes so that you can ask her. The last thing is that we said that we wanted to identify them as symbols. So we have already done this, but looking at numbers, if I had, let's see, that's 641,000. And I wanted to compare it to, and I'm just going to put an empty box here. No shading. And I wanted to compare it to $604,000, or yeah, 614,000. What could I say then about this? Using our symbols of greater than, less than, or equal. So look at this picture. You have 6/10, 4/100, and 1,000. Here you'll have 6, but then there'll be only 1. So what would I put in here then? Greater than or less than? Right? I'm going to put a greater than symbol, right? Because isn't this 641,000 greater than your 614,000? Yes, it is. And you can visually see it. You can see it in your expanded notation, and then you can see it with comparing. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and get started. This one here, you're going to be working, it's supposed to be working in a small group. I'm going to have her do it as a whole group on the first couple of them, and then breaking into table groups, people at your desk. All right, so let's go ahead and switch over. I want to just get a blank sheet. All right, so here's a new one. You're going to be provided with some questions and then a sheet. So this is what I want you to see really quickly. All right, so your teacher's going to give you a packet. On this packet, it's 3 sheets that are stapled together, and it has the problem-solving organizer on there. And then you're also going to get a packet that has 6 equations on there. You're going to do the first one together, and then the other ones you're going to be working in a small group. So some will be working with Mr. Sanchez, and then some will be working with their table group while the sub is going around. And then she's going to go over it with y'all so that you will have a better understanding. I'm going to just enlarge this one because you're going to do this one together as a group. This one has that, this table here shows the amount of time it took 4 teachers to grade papers. So look at the hours. That's not right. Or on the longer side. Which teacher finished grading papers first? So you're going to have to go through, you're going to cut, and then I'm going to shrink this up. And shrink it up just a little. So you're going to cut, and then you're going to glue in this part right here where it has glue problem here, and that's where you're going to glue it. Okay. Then with your team, because you're going to be doing this together, you're going to answer the rest of the questions with the substitute teacher. You're going to do this for the rest of the 6 problems, depending on the time. I think it'll be where we'll have one, everybody will pick out a group. So, I mean, an equation, so you'll work on that, but I still want you to be able to go back and take care of it. Take care of it, meaning to complete those. All right. Anybody have any questions what you're going to do? Then the last thing that you're going to complete once you've done this activity is she's going to give you your exit ticket. And your exit ticket is, this is your exit ticket. You're going to need to glue it. It's not as big as this. It's much smaller. So you can just glue that into your journal. You can do it horizontal. If you're wanting to do vertical, that's up to you. The question is this decimal with, is the decimal with most numbers of digits always the greatest? Why or why not? And then give an example to prove. Okay, so remember, we've been talking about is the decimal with the most. So if we had, oh, I have to put it in a text box. So this was an example. So write yourself examples. If you have one, okay, so that has the most. But what if you have this one? This has the least. Is the one with the most always the greatest? Okay, so this is just an example. Don't use my example. You can come up with your own example. So use your own example. This is just one that I gave you so that you can explain. All right, then you're going to be given your homework and she's going to go over that with you. All right, have a great day. I will see y'all later this morning. All right, bye.